Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Balanced Wellness and Faith. My name is Sabrina, and I'm here to share raw and real truth about grief, miscarriage, infertility, life, and health and wellness. Today, I'm going to be talking about just a little bit about my story, what brings me here today to share with you all, and what God's doing in my life. So, as you may have seen in my channel description, I am a mother to two angel babies, Baby Promise and Baby Patience, who I lost in 2023 and 2025. And needless to say, it has been a hard experience, one that is hard to put into words. And there's many thoughts about miscarriage and early loss and whether or not that makes somebody a mother. I feel in my heart that even though my two precious babies aren't earthside, I am a mother at heart. And I say this because I just want to be real. After losing my first baby, I fell into a dark place. And it was really, really hard for me. So a little bit about my story. It was hard for us to conceive. And so with some health issues I was dealing with, I went to see a naturopathic doctor who told me if I want to have a baby, to just go to the fertility clinic. And so I did, and was super excited that the first round of treatment that we conceived, we got pregnant. And we were so excited. My dreams were dashed when I started bleeding. And I knew right away that I was having a miscarriage. And I really appreciated people saying, I spotted my first trimester, and, I went on to carry full term and had a healthy pregnancy. And I appreciated people sharing their stories with me, but I knew in my heart that I was losing my baby and there was nothing I could do about it. I wanted to protect my baby. I was like, the safest place that my baby could be right now is in my womb, and my womb is letting it go. And even though there was nothing I could do, I still felt helpless and wanted to do something. Wanted to see if there was anything, any glimmer of hope. The thing is with my first one, I started spotting and the spotting stopped. And the clinic said, it's normal to have spotting. So I went in for an ultrasound. Everything looked good. And I went in a week later for my 6-week ultrasound, and it wasn't good. There should have been a heartbeat, and there wasn't a heartbeat. And I can just remember her doing the vaginal ultrasound. And when I knew right away that there was no heartbeat, and I could see how the gestational sac was pulling away from the uterine lining. And she didn't even have to say. Going on the way to the clinic, I had started having sharp pains. And in my heart, I wanted to have hope that I would be one of those stories where it seemed like everything was going bad, but it actually turned out to be okay and the baby was fine. But for me, that wasn't the case. And it was traumatizing because even though she identified that I was going through a miscarriage, she still had to measure my uterus and measure everything. And I just remember just wanting to be like, can you just stop? Can we just be done? I just want to get out of here. And I can remember kind of like scooting back, and I didn't cry. I didn't break down until she left the room. And once she left the room, I just broke into tears. I couldn't hold it together. And while I knew going into that I was probably having miscarriage for it to actually be confirmed and that this was now my reality and I was losing my baby and I couldn't do anything about it, was just so devastating. And so I composed myself as best as I could and went into her office, where she proceeded to tell me that yes, I was having a miscarriage, what to expect, to call if anything, if I didn't stop bleeding and all that stuff. It was just a very matter of fact, cold environment. Even though, looking back, it probably wasn't meant to be that way, but I I was losing my baby, and there was nothing I could do about it. Um, it's one of those experiences that if you haven't been through it, you can't understand what it's like to go through it. And having gone through two, my heart goes out to all the women who have gone through miscarriage, gone through pregnancy loss. I can't imagine what it's like to be in the second trimester, to hear that heartbeat, to even be full term and the baby dies. It's some really sad things that people go through, and it's hard to put it into words. But lately I have felt like God has been nudging me to use this space to share my story, to give light on what it's like to go through miscarriages, to deal with infertility, to be doing all the things, to be putting all the work in, to be following all the right things that could give me the results that I so desire, but seem to be falling short, and what that feels like. I speak from my own experience. I know that my experience isn't going to be everyone else's experience. So if you don't resonate with everything I say, that's okay. But I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What resonates with you? And share your story. So, grief is everyone's experiences grief in different levels and different causes of grief. And for me, I have felt that life stopped, in a sense, that day on May 12th of 2023. Life went on. I continued living. I continued working. But in a sense, a part of me died on that day. And again, when I lost baby Patience in January of 2025 of this year. So if you are here and you're currently going through a miscarriage, my thoughts and prayers are with you. And I want you to know that you're not alone, that this too shall not pass. People say this too shall pass and everything will be fine. No, it doesn't. At least for me, there's always a sadness in my heart that's there, and I can always identify where it's coming from. And it's something that I don't want it to go away, because I really wanted both my babies. And it's a way of remembering. It's a way of remembering that they were there for a moment. For 5.5 weeks, I carried them. And felt like a lifetime. Because if you know, you know. And it's a little hard talking about it, because I feel like I hold myself pretty together well, and I don't like breaking down and crying in front of people. So here I am. But I feel like there's such a need for it, and a need to bring around awareness about it. And I know there's other people talking about it. But I can remember a couple weeks ago, I was feeling grief heavily. not just from the sense of losing two of my babies, but another loss. And I remember I was actually getting acupuncture and I was laying on the table and I was just thinking about it. And this thought just came to me about how grief meets me and what that looks like. And so the thought came, I'm going to share that with others, what it looks like to be living with grief and how grief met me. So that day I had been walking at the park and there was a lot of mothers and their young children at the park. And grief met me there, that I'm a mother in my heart, but I didn't have my children with me to push in the stroller, to carry, and yet all the what's the word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. All the feelings of wanting to do that were there. I can't think of the word. Welcome to my brain. So grief met me there in the sense of seeing what they have and what I don't have. And not coming to it in a place of jealousy or why not me, why them, like woe is me, but recognizing the grief I carried for what I didn't have and for the joy I held for them to experience this gift. Because the Bible says that children are a gift from the Lord, the heritage of the Lord, and they're good things that God gives. And what about when we lose those good gifts? How do we navigate that? So where has grief met you? It could have been in a coffee shop when you're placing your order and a woman walks up beside you who's pregnant and your room is empty and you haven't had a cycle in a few months and there's no sign of it coming. Sometimes I feel foolish sharing, but I know that there's somebody, even if it's just one person, there's one person out there who needs to know that what they're going through is normal and what they're experiencing is normal and they're not alone, that they're seen, they're heard. Because grief can feel like a very lonely journey because no one can understand it to the extent of your experiencing it. So thanks for joining me on this journey of navigating grief, infertility, miscarriage, health and wellness, just living life, moving forward when a part of you has been left behind because you have no choice but to move on and trust that God has a good plan even when it looks so dark, so dire. And all you can do is just survive from day to day and just do what you can to get to the end of the day where you can go to sleep and then do it all over again the next day. So if any of this has resonated with you, please subscribe to my channel. Please comment. I would love to hear from you. And just know that God sees you. Just like He sees the sparrows and He cares for the sparrows and the lilies of the field. He sees you and He knows. Even when you don't have the words to say, He knows what's in your heart. And He has a good plan because He's a good Father even when life knocks us down. He's right there in the dirt with us. Through the rain, through the sunshine, through it all. So, in the meantime, let's continue to learn to embrace the life that God has given us and to thrive where He has planted and chosen to put us right now. And continue to find opportunities to praise Him, to be grateful for His goodness and how He gives us peace and strength when we are so lacking.